Punch Out. I'm Jason Gilbo, J Gilbo 11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay. Taking a look at tonight's 14-game slate here on FanDuel, and not a ton of real pitching options tonight. I think it's filled with the majority kind of average arms. So on a Friday, I'm expecting a lot of scoring here.
I think we should, and even some of the pitchers we like are in kind of awkward matchups for their splits. So definitely something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and jumping right into the first game here, you got the Orioles and Blue Jays. Two offenses that have kind of been down, I guess you could say, over the last week. I mean, really since the break, guys haven't really shown up. But Kevin Gausman versus Marco Estrada. I think this is kind of an intriguing GPP game for me. I'm not really on a lot of these guys in cash games just because I do think that I'm going to temper my expectations as far as, possible blow-up run potential.
Yeah, definitely temper expectations. I kind of like both of these pitchers, but there is some blow-up potential. So, especially with Gausman, I think there's some reasonable spots on both sides to pick.
Yeah, I think so, and I think Gausman kind of has the clear splits. I mean, against righties, he's been hit hard at times. Especially in the home run department. I mean, Gausman has struggled a little bit. So given that he's a reverse splits guy and you are going to face Bautista, Donaldson, and Encarnacion right off the bat, there's obviously always some upside there. And I think that's kind of the three that I would look at. And even though they are expensive, I think they could definitely pay it off in this matchup.
Right. Yeah. You look at Saunders, and that's why his price is lower against a righty, because Gausman obviously has done much better against lefties this year than righties. So I think since nobody's in that like 5K to 5,500 range, I think the Toronto stack's in play, but it's obviously still super expensive.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's not as bad as it has been the past few days where we've seen it creep up into the 5,000s. So overall, I think it's a good high upside play. But I do think just given Gausman is a talented right-hander, the floor is a little bit lower.
Mm-hmm.
As far as Baltimore goes, I'm not really in love with the matchup. Obviously, I think Estrada is due for some regression here, but obviously there's still some home run potential. I don't mind taking shots still at Adam Jones at 3K. I think that's a nice price tag. And Davis and Trumbo as well. Machado might be the only one at 4.6. A little out of my price range.
Yeah, I'd rather go Donaldson than Machado at this stage. So I think you kind of look for the value-ish bats in that Orioles lineup and kind of move through that, like you mentioned, with Jones, Davis, and Trumbo.
Yeah, and I don't even mind a Matt Wieters. Should be in the lineup today. 2,500. It's a cheap price.
Yeah.
Yankees Rays next year. Ivan Nova, Jake Odorizzi. I was kind of hoping this game. I mean, I wish it was in Yankee Stadium. I'd feel a lot better about the bat just given the ballpark. But I think there's some sneaky potential here for some home runs. I mean, you look at Ivan Nova. I mean, not the greatest against lefties. I mean, 372 WOBA going back to last year, 1.67 home runs per 9. I like a Brad Miller or a Corey Dickerson at those prices.
Yeah, I really like Brad Miller there. I think that's a solid price for him. Obviously, has great splits against righties, and Nova has struggled, to say the least, against lefties. So you do like that. You do like Dickerson. Obviously, like you mentioned, the park factors aren't in favor of this game. Oh,
is it Laura?
It is.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Laura, what the call?
Huh?
Cheers to Laura. I mean, that's that's Friday. I mean,
pour out your coffee.
Yeah, 10 o'clock right on the dot Friday.
Anyway, but no, I do actually like the value in this lineup. Nobody over 35. I think you can go Miller, Dickerson, and maybe a Logan Forsythe or something like that.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, Nova's not the greatest arm, and obviously that the Rays are not great bats either as far as a team goes. I mean, they are a bottom 10 WOBA team against righties, but strong power numbers. I mean, there is a lot of upside with this team, and that's kind of what they do. So for me, I don't mind them at those prices. I think they're kind of a contrarian way to get exposure to tonight's slate, I guess.
Agreed. And then I think you look at this Yankees side of things. I'm looking at Mark Teixeira at 2,500. He's kind of just been chilling down there, even though he's had a few good games. I I actually kind of like that against Odorizzi. I think that's pretty good matchup for him.
Yeah, Teixeira's definitely got some pop, 2,500 in that matchup, and Odorizzi can be a little bit fly ball home run prone at times. Um, I think that if I'm going here, it's going to be more so with the Rays side, but I definitely can't knock a 2,500 Teixeira in GPPs.
Hmm.
So, but as far as guys like Gardner and Beltran and Ellsbury, I'm not really on that trio of outfielders tonight. Um, One, I think Gardner and Beltran are a little too expensive for me, and Ellsbury really hasn't given much as far as upside goes this year.
He really hasn't, and he does appear to be that value in the front of that lineup. But I don't know. I don't see it. I don't just look at the splits. The ISO is really low. Even the WOBA's right around 300 against righties. It's kind of just like a mediocre, just all around mediocrity from Ellsbury. So I'm not too into that. McCann, I do like him at 31. I think that's the guy you're sort of looking at batting fourth, or Teixeira. That's the two guys I'm really looking at from this lineup.
Yeah, I think the two guys that are most equal as far as price tag and then do have some power. It's definitely certainly those two.
Right.
A's and Indians here, and I like the Indians bats quite a bit here tonight. You look at Graveman, I mean, struggles really badly on the road. Lefties have hit him well, 343 WOBA allowed since last year. Indians in that ballpark, they've hit much better, so I like the lefties here quite a bit. For me, I would lean Carlos Santana over Napoli, but obviously I think you look at that front three, they're certainly in play, and then obviously you still have your Ramirez, Chisenhall, and Nyquin in the back end to target as well.
Yep, this is a night to pick your spots with the Indians. I love this matchup, especially the righties. Jose Ramirez looking like a pretty solid matchup there for 2,700, as you mentioned, the Graveman Woba. I really like that. I'm okay with going at Napoli, Lindor, and Kipnis. I mean, I think that this is a lineup that's pretty much all in play, like we talk about some nights. Such a deep lineup. So, I mean, even Chisenhall at 26, I think that's a nice value as well.
Yeah, Chisenhall is going to be a cash game guy for me there. And just really consistent and always kind of cheap out of the Indians. Always a cheap way to get exposure.
Mm-hmm.
And Kipnis and Lindor's prices really aren't that bad to me, just given that the fact that, if you don't pay up for a Scherzer, there's not really a ton that you can kind of pay up for elsewhere. So I don't mind those prices. I mean, it's definitely easier than what we talked about last week when those guys were over 4K.
Yeah, okay. So if I'm to make the decision, I think the two guys I'm most confident with are Ramirez and Chisenhall. And obviously, price considered, they pretty much fit in any lineup. So I think that's kind of the guys I'm picking my spots with. But the highest upside, I'd say Kipnis and probably Napoli.
Yeah, I think so. And at the A's, I mean, some of the lefties I think are worth a look here, especially in GPPs. I don't mind a Reddick or a Stephen Vogt. Those are kind of intriguing options. And I even think Chris Davis has some power. You look at Trevor Bauer, I mean, can struggle with the long ball at times. Been right around average going back to last year. Struggled more so with it last year. But I don't mind the A's as far as Reddick and Vogt or Davis. But outside of that, it's not a night really where I'm diving in any deeper.
No, we like the A's against lefties, but this kind of matchup just is really lukewarm for them. Obviously, like you mentioned, Reddick and Vaught, nice splits against righties, but overall, not a lineup to target in general.
Yeah. Astros Tigers next year. This one's definitely interesting, and I like this game a lot as far as both sides go. You look at McHugh, I mean, been very up and down this year. I think he's going to run into a little bit of trouble here going up against some of these right-handed bats. You go back to last year, 328 WOBA allowed. I really like Miguel Cabrera at 3.6. I like Kinsler at 3.6. And even some of those other guys like Upton and Castellanos are at decent price tags too.
Yeah, nobody over 36. So you definitely like that. I think this is a potential stacking lineup, even though it's righty on righty. I think and obviously on FanDuel, you like Victor Martinez at catcher. So I'd be okay with paying up. I don't think you necessarily need to dive down to the depths of this lineup. I don't think you need to play Justin Upton with all these guys sort of in that mid to low 3K range.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And on the Astro side of things, I mean, for the majority, they haven't been great against lefties, but outside of Springer and Altuve, I mean, um, those two are the kind of the guys I always kind of look to target against left-handers. Um, in Boyd, although he's kind of been all right, somewhat serviceable over his last few starts. You go back to last year, I mean, 361 WOBA allowed to righties, 1.95 home runs per nine. I think there is quite a bit of upside with this Houston team. I like an Evan Gattis here at 2.9. He just kind of fits in that middle of the lineup for some big time upside.
Yeah, like Gaddis at that price, and yeah, Springer. I think that's a big value at 3,700. You'll when we get to DraftKings, or if you want to check that out, you'll obviously see much better value here than DK.
Yeah, especially with Springer and Gas. I mean, Altuve is still expensive on both sides as he should be,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't even mind Altuve. I think if you are paying up, he's definitely worth a look.
I think that's a really nice pay up stack, though. If you want to go Altuve, Springer, Gaddis, and it's not totally killing you. You get a guy, a mid range, a high, and a low range guy. So, not killing you on price.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that's kind of our really our first game on both sides that we're looking to target a fair amount.
Right.
Moving on here, Cardinals and Marlins, Jose Urena versus Mike Leake. This one, I mean, obviously it's not the greatest ballpark. I think there could be some sneaky potential here on a full slate. I think this one might get kind of lost, but I mean, I like the prices of Diaz, Piscotty, Holiday. I think that's kind of a solid range. I mean, they're nice value. Same thing with Matt Adams at 3,100.
Yeah, strange to see them this cheap against Urena, but hey, I'm in. Yeah, I mean, even a Greg Garcia leading off at 2,100, lefty versus righty. I'll obviously like that, and I mean, for a min punt play, if he's in the lineup, definitely someone to look at.
Yeah, it definitely is. If you are going with the Scherzer and you do need a punt a position or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
Garcia at the top of the lineup, and Urena is a guy who's struggled against both sides of the plate. So, I mean, 340 WOBA allowed to lefties since last year, 338 WOBA to righties. So obviously it's a friendly ballpark, but I mean, I don't mind those prices, and obviously the power of Piscotty and Diaz are certainly intriguing.
Yeah, I definitely like a 1 through 3 stack, and I mean, if you're feeling frisky in a tournament type of deal, maybe a 1 through 4 with Holiday.
Yeah, definitely. And on the Marlins side, I mean, you look at Leak, I mean, blew up against the Dodgers, was pretty serviceable before that, but this is a guy who is really matchup dependent, and I like this Marlins offense. And you look at Leak, I mean, average against lefties, you know, 1.40 home runs per nine. There aren't a ton of lefties in this lineup, but I like Yelich at 3.6.
Are you calling an Ichiro double dong
There's
day? Is that what you're
no,
saying?
no, but I think he will get his 3,000 hit.
Yeah, I like Yelich in this matchup, as you mentioned, the solid home run per nine from Leak. But beyond that, I mean, who knows if Ozuna is going to be in the lineup or not. But I mean, I'm okay with Stanton at 36. Overall, though, I want to like this lineup more than I actually do.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously this isn't the most appealing matchup. I mean, Mike Leake's still a guy who can get guys out and kind of just pitch in limit damage.
Yeah.
T. Gordon at 3,500, I don't mind him. You know, some stolen base upside. Um, you know, hitting in the front of that lineup. This lineup looks a lot better with him up front now.
I agree for sure.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think for the most part, it's Yelich and Stanton that you're kind of looking at, and Gordon maybe as a GPP option.
Definitely.
Mets and Rockies next here. Tyler Chatwood versus Steven Matz, and this one I'm not really too intrigued with as far as really any hitters go. Just you look at the Rockies outside of course, they're not good. In the Mets offense, I mean, you know, it's been so up and down this year. You look at Chatwood, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he's tough on lefties, and that's kind of what a lot of this Mets offense is. So I'm kind of staying away.
Yeah, I agree. I want to like Asdrubal Cabrera at 2,700, but it's tough to get behind. I think he can get a hit, but I don't know how much upside he really brings. But I do like Neil Walker at 28. I think that's a decent value.
Yeah, I mean, that is a cheap price, and that's the one thing. I mean, the Mets are quietly underpriced tonight.
Yeah.
This one just, I don't know, not
Yeah.
a lot of appeal for me.
I dig. I get it.
Uh,
The Rockies side of things, I'm not really buying into this. I'm okay with an Arenado at 3K, but other than that, I'm not really, even at the cheap prices, I'm more in on Mats than anything else.
yeah, me too. I will have a ton of match shares, so I really don't see myself. And Arenado's the only one who I can see at 3K taking a shot with, just because he's a depreciated price tag. And if there's anyone outside of Coors who I'm going to take a shot with, it's him.
Right.
So. Phillies and Braves here, and Tyrell Jenkins versus Vince Velasquez. And for me, I mean, I'm not looking at any Braves here. Freddie Freeman with a solid night last night, but a little priced up a bit higher at 3.7. I like too many other bats kind of around first base at that price.
Yeah. So I told Jason before the show, like last night, I was kind of looking over the slate and I stared at Vince Velasquez and this matchup for like 10 minutes. And I was like, all right, how much do I like Vince Velasquez here? And I was just kind of like looking through everything. I was like, not enough. I don't like him enough. I think it is a decent matchup. Obviously, anytime you're pitching against the Braves, you should be in a good spot. But I don't know that I like it in a cash sense. I still think there's some frisky lefties, even though they're all pretty much below average. I kind of like Freddie Freeman a lot. Once again, obviously, he's been destroying the ball the last 2 games. I think this is another decent matchup for him in sort of a contrarian tournament way.
It definitely is. I mean, Freeman, I think last night was kind of more slate considered where you bring him up, and here he was probably a bit more overlooked.
Yeah.
So I don't mind Freeman in GPPs. 3.7 isn't a bad price tag. It's not going to kill you, and he's going to be low owned. He's going to be about 5% or less. I don't see anything more.
Yeah.
As far as the Philly side goes, I mean, I don't mind some of the bats here against Jenkins. I mean, I don't mind the Phillies and GPPs. They're not a team where I'm going to have more than one bat in, but I think grabbing a one-off here might not be a bad choice because Jenkins kind of struggles with both sides of the plate. I don't mind a Cameron Rupp or a Franco or a Herrera even.
Okay. Yeah. We're definitely on the same page there. I was looking at Franco, Rupp, and Herrera. I think Franco's a very intriguing price at 33 against Jenkins, especially at third, which could be a nice swerve off of sort of the other options in tournaments, the Donaldsons of the world. So I think that's pretty intriguing, and he brings quite a bit of upside.
Yeah, definitely think so too. So, it's a 14-game slate, and obviously these are two of the worst offenses. I mean, you can kind of make some one-off exposure there.
Mm-hmm.
Royals and Rangers, AJ Griffin versus Edison Volquez, and for me, I mean, I like this game more in a tournament sense. I'm not completely all aboard, but I mean, I think you got to like some of the value here with the Mazar or Profar. Profar set out last night, but should be back tonight. I don't mind him at that price. They can obviously a punt play like Mazar and Gallo, I think, are worth a look against Volquez.
Yeah, this is a pretty similar breakdown to the way we looked at it yesterday. Obviously Profar Mazar prices are just unreal cheap, and then Gallo is as well. So you like that. Desmond is in play, Beltre is in play, and Odor obviously in play, but I prefer the values there.
Yeah, me too. And Odor, I mean, that's a nice price tag. I don't mind 3.5. I think that's relatively value and consideration where sometimes he can get. But you look at Volquez, I mean, struggles on the road. I mean, no tremendous where he really blows up against lefties or anything. But I just think given the ballpark factors, you can get some nice exposure there.
Definitely.
As far as the Royals go, it's not a great price tag for some of those guys. I mean, Alex Gordon at 2.6 is something I might look at, but Perez, who may or may not be in the lineup, 3.5 is expensive. I don't like Hosmer at 3.9. I don't know. I'm not drawing a lot of interest in the Royals tonight.
I would like Hosmer if he was 3,500. 39's getting a little out of my range there. I do still think he's in play for tournaments, but for first base, that's kind of a very competitive position, and 39's kind of getting out of my range there.
Yeah, definitely. So for me, I mean, I think the Royals are kind of a 14-game slate. I don't feel the need to kind of dive in at those prices.
Yeah, right.
So, White Sox and Twins next here. Ricky Nolasco versus Jose Quintana, and Great matchup for the White Sox, and here we are again.
Here we are again.
I mean, hey, the last time they faced in Alaska, they 3 homers and 7 earned against them, so
Mm.
it's definitely that potential is there. And I'm definitely more. I'm fine with taking shots at it at those prices. Nolasco, by no means a good right-hander. Pretty average against both sides of the plate. So for me, I'll feel fine kind of firing away with some White Sox bats for value.
Agreed. Yeah, I mean, you look at the Jose Abreu's of the world, 2,700, Morneau, 27. I like Tim Anderson quite a bit tonight at 29 as well, batting second. So you can definitely look there. Adam Eaton, 33. I think these are all tournament plays for me.
Yeah, definitely. Todd Frazier, 3-4. I don't mind that either.
Mm.
As far as the Twins go, I mean, I'm not really looking to pick on Quintana. Um, for me, I mean, I think if you are, I don't mind a Brian Dozier at 3-2 or a Sano, just given that they do have solid numbers against lefties. But for me, that's probably about it.
Yeah, Sano's right in that a little too expensive range for me, but he's definitely still a tournament play in that matchup. Do like Dozier quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a really nice price tag for a guy who hits lefties quite well. So
Mhm.
Dozier, solid option. It's not the most perfect matchup against the lefty there with Quintana being above average, but certainly worth a look in GPPs.
Definitely.
Brewers and Pirates here, and I like Jonathan Villar quite a bit whenever he faces a lefty. 3,800, I mean, obviously a little expensive for a shortstop position, but he is certainly in play for me.
Yeah, he's a nice price. I think we can look at him. Obviously, splits are really strong against lefties, and I mean we don't really know what we're gonna get from Brault here, so definitely like that leading off. We'll see if Braun's in the lineup. That's a little expensive for me, but if he is, I'm okay with that. Um, and I mean, could it be a Chris Carter night?
Could be. It always could be. I mean, his outcomes are just either it's it's a
Or
0 for 4
yeah,
game, 2 homers, or
yeah,
whatever.
right.
Yeah, I mean 3,500. I don't mind. I mean, you're going to get him at lower ownership. I like him in Miller Park, which that's where he's at tonight against the lefty. Yeah, I don't mind that move there.
Yeah.
As far as the Pirates go, I mean, Guerrero's been pretty solid. I mean, he's been well. I mean, he's been hard to kind of pick on.
I don't like either side here. I just There's always one matchup on the 14 gamer where you just feel there's just so much gray area.
And that's the Pirates. I mean, you
It's
would
just like what do you expect from them, you know?
I would like the Pirates more if they were cheaper.
Yeah.
I don't mind a Polanco at 3.7. But obviously I still think that's up there. Same thing with Marte at 4.1. Even McCutchen at 3.4 is a little bit pricey, kind of out of my range. I don't see myself taking many Pirates. But I think obviously the outfield's probably about where you would circle in if you were.
Polanco's nice. I like that price at 37, but other than that, it's kind of rough to trust any of these guys right now.
Yeah,
At these prices at least.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Red Sox and Angels here. Rick Porcello versus Tim Lincecum. And last night, I mean, it was a letdown against Weaver. If you watch the game, I mean, it was a lot of lineouts. I mean, Red Sox squared him up. It was just nothing that fell. Here, you kind of got to like them against Lincecum. And at some of their prices, I mean, Ortiz at 5,300. I don't see myself going that route. I don't feel that I need to, even though Lincecum has been bad against both sides of the plate. But that's too expensive for me.
Yeah, again, there's some decent value at first tonight, so I don't think there's that need to go to Ortiz, even though it is a righty. Obviously, decent chance at a homer for him, but at 53, you want really, really high upside. So while he's worth it, it's something I'm not going to be doing in cash.
No.
Bogarts is kind of intriguing to me tonight. I kind of like that matchup for him, as with Bradley. So I think that's an interesting mini stack to consider.
Yeah, I like the righties quite a bit here. So I like Hanley. I like that drop down. I mean, just missed a home run last night. I really don't mind him or Jackie Bradley at 3.9 if you want a little bit of a high priced outfielder, but still somewhat of a discount from Betts. But yeah, I mean, Pedroia and Bogarts, I think it's kind of an intriguing way to go. and just kind of maybe skip over Ortiz and kind of hope they work around him, and you kind of get the right-handers to do the damage there.
Definitely.
So I obviously, I mean, you don't mind the Sox, but there is a drop down just given that park factor. It is the sting's kind of taken out a little bit.
Yeah, it is. And I don't think we can treat Lincecum quite like Weaver, but it is sort of in that same range.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty close to the fact that you just want to get some exposure, but also I think last night was a little different just because the slate was smaller with a couple of higher pitchers. So
right.
As far as the Angels go, I mean, I don't like them. I think Purcell goes out and has a quality start. I think on a full slate, the Angels' upside is limited. I never really see any upside outside of guys like
Jet Bandy.
Yeah, Chet Bandy. That's about
it. Obviously being a little facetious there, but yeah, no, I do like Porcello a little bit tonight. I think he's kind of a weird tournament swerve if you want to get a little weird there. But yeah, I like Trout, but it's expensive. And the rest of the lineup, I'm just not willing to take that gamble on.
Yeah, I'm not either. Moving on here, I mean, you got the Dodgers and Diamondbacks next, and I think my favorite play from this game overall is Justin Turner. I mean, 3,600 hit in the middle of that lineup. I like him. Godley's been worse off against righties. He's actually been okay against left-handers, but obviously I still like Seager here. But I don't know. I'm not crazy about it. I don't mind 2, 3, 4, but that's pretty much about it for me, I guess.
I almost broke into song, but I didn't do it. You know that crazy, 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 crazy thinking about you, baby. You know that song?
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost did that with just inserting instead of baby Justin Turner. But I didn't do it. I'm happy I didn't do it. Yeah, I really like Justin Turner tonight. I think he's borderline cash, if not in cash, especially with that price. So I think you can go with Seager and him and feel pretty comfortable about your chances.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. And Gonzalez, I mean, obviously we haven't quite seen that upside, but I think if you wanted to spin down at first base, he'd probably be an okay option. I mean, Dodgers nearing 5 runs. I don't mind a 2, 3, 4 guys, and that's about it. I mean, I'm not really in on the Howie Kendrick or Yasmani Grandal, but I think in GPPs you can give him a look if you want to.
Definitely agree there. I mean, rarely do you see the Dodgers even projected for 4.5 runs at home. So that should say something to you. And at the same time, Justin Turner splits first righties and then Godley. So I think that's a nice lineup to target.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And on the other side, I'm not looking to pick on Maeda.
No.
Diamondbacks offense, high strikeout rate against righties. Maeda fairly tough on left-handers. So that kind of neutralizes Lamb a little bit there. Maeda's been a guy who's really limited damage against right-handers. So for me, I'm just kind of staying away. I think there's no real need for me to dive into Diamondbacks.
No, yeah, I think tonight you can take the night off. Even from Goldschmidt, I don't really see the upside there.
No, at 4K, I think there's plenty of other options that are cheaper than him.
Right.
Giants and Nationals, Max Scherzer versus Jeff Samardzija, and I think we can talk about the Nationals here. It's not a great ballpark, but obviously I don't mind Murphy at 3.6. I mean, Samardzija has struggled against lefties. I mean, go back to last year, 358 WOBA, 1.74 home runs per 9. I don't even mind a Trey Turner. He's bumped up in price, but that upside is shown. I mean, he's been solid on the base pass. I mean, solid night against Cueto. So for me, it's the 1, 2, 3 guys I don't mind here.
Agreed. I don't think you're diving too deep into the Nationals tonight, but Murphy, especially at 36, I really like that at second tonight. That's someone you can do a lot of damage with. He's borderline cash for me. I'm not afraid of Samardzija.
Yeah, I'm not either, and I think you're looking there. I think the only downgrade is obviously the park, and I do think this will keep their ownership a little bit tempered, even though it is a decent matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And facing Scherzer, I mean, obviously it's not the best spot to pick. Obviously, he has given up some homers to both sides of the plate, but obviously this ballpark and Scherzer, I think he'll be fine.
He'll be fine. I'm okay with Buster Posey at 3. But overall, I don't think anyone in this lineup is worth anything other than a deep tournament. And mostly are out of play. But I am okay with Posey as a deep tournament guy.
Yeah. Reds and Padres next here, and I don't know. I like this one a lot to kind of cap off the night. I mean, I think there could be some offense on both sides. The Melvin Upton trade to the Blue Jays has kind of taken some sting out of the Padres as a stack, just because there's there's a lot of lefties in here than what we've had in the past. But I think you really got to like a Will Myers at 3.6, a Matt Kemp at 3.2. Derek Norris at 2.9 is intriguing as a GPP option. I don't mind the Padres here.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Kemp's just got like 23 homers this year. It's not a big deal or anything.
Yeah, and they continuously
at 32
disrespect him
against the lefty who's got really high home run per nine numbers. It's 32. I'll give it to DK. They priced him up tonight. So I really like Kemp once again. Fire away. I feel really good about that. So I really like that. I'm okay with Myers, as you mentioned. I think that's a nice combination. And I don't know how much I want to take the gamble on the lefties in this lineup, but Shrimpy, as I'm going to call him from now on, because that F at the end there is really wild. That's a wild move by that family bloodline there. But at 2,200, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, we've seen that immense power. And on the red side, I mean, you look at Edwin Jackson. I mean, 2 quality starts in a row, but obviously he is not a good right-handed arm. Just by looking at his numbers, I mean, you go back to the last full year he pitched. I mean, bad against both sides of the plate. He's very average against his career numbers. I like the Reds' offense here, and I like the lefties, Votto and Bruce. I mean, Petco's not a great park, but it's fine for lefty power. And I don't mind Billy Hamilton at 3.3 and Duvall at 3.1. I like this Reds lineup quite a bit here.
Give me Duvall at 3.1. Still really strong ISO against righties. So I really like that. Yeah, you're paying up for the lefties in that lineup, but I do like that as well. More tournaments, but I think Duvall's a potential cash guy.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Billy Hamilton, I mean, I think there is multi-stolen base upside if he gets on tonight. I mean, you can run on Norris. You can run on this Padres staff quite a bit.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. Only 3,300, and obviously if he gets on, he's getting that stolen base.
Wild. Yeah.
so yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah. That's going to wrap things up here with the FanDuel Punch-Out. Be sure to check out DailyFantasyCafe.com for all great tools and content.